So today we'll be discussing the topic of cinematherapy. It's myself, Avery, Caitlin, and Sydney. We'll be providing an overview, the participants and process, testimonials, so people who have actually participated in cinematherapy, a research analysis, and then review and just our thoughts. So what exactly is cinematherapy? Cinematherapy can be explained as a therapeutic intervention where clients of most often psychotherapists are instructed to watch movies that the client can actually relate to. So for example, if someone needed assistance with working on their resilience, an individual would watch a movie surrounding characters going through hardships, and that movie would display how to build resilience. So cinematherapy can evoke deep emotions that are under the surface, which allows for personal reflection and hopefully providing a new perspective on external events that are going on in someone's life. So this therapy is known to open the eyes to individuals and provide self-reflection with the therapist after they have watched the movie, so kind of a breakdown. In addition, cinematherapy can be done from one's home, and the benefit of doing so may be that one can feel comfortable within their own home, so expressing their feelings and emotions might be a lot easier. So the goal is to allow the client to acknowledge certain issues they have going on in their lives. And another example may be that a client is coming to you because of the relationship that they're in, and the therapist may present a movie surrounding a toxic relationship, which could encourage the client to recognize that what they're experiencing and a part of is maybe not healthy for them. This therapy hopefully can provide hope, role models, and reframe current problems in the client's life. So the brief history of cinematherapy. So the history of cinematherapy dates back to 1947. So when bibliotherapy was evolved, where clients were using books as therapeutic guidance. Then research displayed that there is a true relationship between the viewer and the level of influence that characters have on the viewer within movies. So based on the research surrounding that last statement, cinematherapy developed in 1990.
And then moving on to the participants and the process of cinematherapy. So cinematherapy can be used in a variety of different situations with a bunch of different ages, but through looking at research, we can see that it's most commonly used within children and adolescents, relationships and couples, and people dealing with grief and loss. Within relationships and couples, we see that this is also, again, dealt with a lot of children who are dealing with parental divorce. And then grief and loss, this can be related to depression or just any sort of anxiety or distress that an individual is going through. Moving on to availability and cost. Cinematherapy is very readily available because with online access to movies is at our fingertips. There's many different streaming sites that are available to us, such as YouTube, Netflix, Crave, etc. Because of this, cost can be little to nothing, but again, it is recommended to do this with a therapist because a therapist will recommend movies that they think will be most helpful to you in your situation, and then you have a mental health professional there to guide you through discussion and to go over those underlying issues. But again, going back to that, there is lots of online resources. Specifically came across a YouTube channel called Cinematherapy. It's with a licensed therapist and a filmmaker that create videos together, and they just discuss various messages within movies. So after you watch the movie, you would watch their discussion. They have a bunch of different videos such as toxic positivity in the movie Inside Out, healthy versus unhealthy relationships within Twilight, and gaslighting within the movie Tangled. Cost and time commitment. So the cost, if it's being done on your own, again, that would be little to nothing because all that you would be paying for is the subscription fee to a streaming site if you pay that. So if it's Netflix or Crave, anywhere between $7 to $30 a month. But if you're doing it with a mental health professional, a single session can cost anywhere from $100 to $200. And then time commitment, the only time commitment that you're dealing with is about 3 hours. So 2 hours to watch the movie on your own time. and then about 1 hour of reflection with the professional that you would go in for.
So why participate in cinematherapy? Films are typically used as a supplement to treatment rather than just as the main method of treatment. However, the following are the benefits identified with the usage of movie/cinematherapy, which include identifying specific issues within one's life, emotional release, aids in exploring solutions to personal problems, increase communicative skills, enhance empathy for others, and building healthy relationships. Testimonials. Yeah. On one blog, which is solely dedicated to cinematherapy, there were hundreds of success stories on how this form of therapy really helped patients overcome their struggles with mental health, communication, as well as their bonds with others. Here are two examples. The movies they are referencing to are found on another part of the website where they have categories dedicated to certain issues where anyone can look under and find a movie that might help them. This can be related to self-help, and you wouldn't need a therapist for this. So research and analysis. We will be covering a couple of peer-reviewed published articles emphasizing this form of therapy. To begin, we selected this article published by Sharp and others. It's titled Cinematherapy, Metaphorically Promoting Therapeutic Change. And their main emphasis was a research on the application and effectiveness of cinematherapy, as well as a comparison between solely psychotherapy. Their findings indicate a strong success rate with children and those members of the younger population. They also found that the participants within their research had a large improvement in communicative skills and expressing emotion, especially with young children. Lastly, they made a reference to a very interesting point about this form of therapy. They stated that cinematherapy can be compared to Bandura's concepts of observational learning therapy, or theory, watching and then replicating what they have watched throughout the film. So in a meta-analysis study conducted by Lampropoulos and Sprengler in 2005, they analyzed a variety of alternative and complementary theories to the traditional methods, one of these being cinematherapy. They found in their research within national surveys that many practitioners have found success in using motion pictures when treating several different areas of mental health and consider it to be quite effective. However, within their studies, they also found some concerning evidence of patients having negative experiences when using this method, as it triggered many who have suffered with trauma and abuse to worsen their conditions.
And then next, we chose an article that looked at the use of cinematherapy within dealing with relationship problems. So this study had 6 participants, all of which were female in age between 25 to 28. They had 5 sessions each, but after the 3rd session, one of the participants dropped out due to a busy schedule, so that brought them down to 5 participants. 2 participants were married for at least 1 year, and then all others were in a committed relationship ranging between 1 to 6 years. They were seeking help for relationship problems such as frequent conflicts, sexual problems, or just overall dissatisfaction. These were the movies chosen, so Anger Management, Groundhog Day, Forget Paris, 2 Days in Paris, and Role Models. So the movies were watched on their own time, and then they came in for a 50-minute discussion with a mental health professional after watching each of those films. And after the research was done, they saw that watching the movies and having the characters that they related to was a useful tool for providing a safe distance to enable them to explore their individual responsibility for the occurrence and or maintenance of problems and the effect of their actions on others. So it just kind of helped them to become more aware of what they were doing in the relationship or what the other person was doing in the relationship and just how to approach it more. And seeing that physically throughout a movie really helped them dealing with that. And then just some highlights. So not all participants attained to all stages of the 4-stage process. Viewing stage itself did not induce change. They had to have that directed discussion afterwards in order to see the effects that cinematherapy had on them. And then the therapeutic discussion promotes identification, new insight, and generalization. And then the review and concluding thoughts. So is the cinema therapy considered a fringe or emerging therapy? We said it's considered an emerging therapy because there is clinical trials, there are several peer-reviewed journals. However, this is very limited research overall. In regards to reliability, there are several studies conducted by different researchers. However, this is very limited population groups, so there needs to be more studies done with a wider demographic. And then for validity, studies fulfill their claims of improving quality of life of patients. Most studies have similar and beneficial results.
So how can we improve scientific rigor? We can suggest that incorporating modern and technological techniques and tools within this field could severely help improve the amount of research that has been conducted. And as this is a modern world, there are a lot more resources available, and which can further research in many different ways. Also, building and continuing the research basis. So there are several studies confirming the reliability and validity of the improvement of patients' in daily life experiences. However, further research in different populations would help to build a stronger basis overall to fulfill the strong and broad beneficial claims that this form of therapy claims to improve on including substance abuse fields as well as in older populations. And by building the research using scientific rigor and more in-depth experiments within the field, it would create a stronger basis for this therapy to be used in more areas of mental health and psychiatric disorders, as well as in different age categories. And here are references. And I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about cinema therapy. And if anybody has questions, please feel free.